Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my non-binary friends, welcome back to another beautiful episode of Mental Health Mondays here on the What the Fluff podcast. We have a lovely batch of questions. Again, if you are currently in the chat, all you got to do, exclamation question, and we'll freaking get to your question. We only have 4. I'm pretty sure it's really only 3 because someone just paid us a lovely compliment. So without further ado, I feel like this question might have been last week. Yes, and we got to that, so that's okay. Already off to a banging start. Not so much a question, but I wanted to thank you for being an inspiration and a motivator for people like me that started realizing that emotional intelligence is a never-ending lesson. Leaps and bounds have been made, and I owe it up to you in the pup club. P.S. They took my Uzi. Gage, thank you, brother. Honestly, it has been and still is. I look forward to these Mondays so much, man. I love getting to learn more about you guys and just getting to have this conversation. Because if there's one thing that I cannot stand, it's BS surface level conversation. It's not fun for me. I will literally, it just bores me. That's why I love people that can tell stories. I love people that are engaging. I love people that can take a basic, like, what did you do today? And there's something to it. It's not just a list of different things. So, oh, good talk. That's fun. No, like, I would love in-depth shit about what happened, because that's always the most interesting. That allows for even more questions. And that's what excites me. I love follow-up questions. For those of you who watch the interviews, like, that's one of my, when there's a little bit of something that can be explored deeper, that is just my gold is that feeling. It's knowing that, oh my gosh, there's more to this. There has to be more to this. So you guys have allowed for that to happen through this, through the interviews, through just the stream in general. And I'm really, really grateful for that. So thank you. Next question is by the one, the only, oh, I can delete these. That's right. Why am I not deleting these? Beautiful. Courtney S., who says, when do you become vulnerable in new relationships, romantic or platonic? Or what are my green flags? This question is based on there being essentially 2 types of vulnerability. What I mean is that there is vulnerability surrounding traumas that we have already processed and have healed from, and vulnerability that is based on existing dumpster fires that we don't know where to go with and are actively working through. That is a very good question. I will become vulnerable because I feel like you guys have realized this. I have no problem asking anyone, not how you doing, but like, how are you doing? Really, how are you? What's going on in your life? And if someone can respond in a way that they are at least somewhat aware of their emotions, they are somewhat just self-aware. In, again, because I think in addressing the vulnerability surrounding traumas that we have processed and surrounding things that we don't know where to go with, the first step of both of those things is the awareness of the issue, right? If I am constantly coming off as aggressive, I will not be able to change until I myself become aware of the situations in which I am becoming aggressive, right? And that can either be because someone tells me and it's someone that I respect enough already to know that, oh shit, then that actually must be something that I'm doing. They're not just going to make this up. Or for some reason, I can become self-aware of it, right? And then now that you're aware, you can, with the easier ones or whatever ones that you are more capable of being able to process and work through, you can work through them to the point where you become secure about whatever that is, right? And then, of course, we still have these things that are dumpster fires that we don't know how to deal with. But that is, again, you are more in control of it because you are aware of it. I think people don't realize how much, even if you might feel out of control of something, for example, when I first enter into a relationship, I can become, or I am, very anxious until I know for certain that person has let me know through actions or words or whatever that they like me and want to do this thing back, right? Because again, how my brain works is expectations. So if I really like you and I'm expecting that we're going to be entering into the next step of this, and you are indicating that you are, but then you suddenly aren't, that fucking sucks. That is terrible, which is why I have anxiety about it. So, and this is something that, again, I don't want to say I'm secure, like I'm secure in the fact that I know how I am, but it's still out of the control to some points. Like it can be very debilitating. It can be, I can't stream today because I am so anxious about this thing that I need to sleep because that's, or like just be with myself because that's the only way that I'm going to make it through it. That is why I would say that that's a dumpster fire. But I would also say that I have that, again, knowing that that is how I am allows me to still express that vulnerability because I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of my anxiety when it comes to entering in a romantic relationship like that, because I know that it is what Glennon Doyle likes to say, skited, scared and excited. Scared can anxiety manifests itself in both excitement and in fear. And the more that you label it the excitement, the more likely you are to have a positive experience through it, right? Does that still make the anxiety hard? Yeah, of course. But it helps because, again, I know that that craziness is going to happen when I start a relationship, and I know what then fixes that, right? So it allows me to be vulnerable when I feel it. So then having those two things conquered, I then am I don't know if I'm ever like, it's truly, I sense your emotional maturity through conversation, through question, through engagement. And then really, like, I'm not necessarily going to be vulnerable with you in any way, shape, or form, or even want to talk to you in any way, shape, or form if you don't have some of that. Because if you, again, like I said when I first started this, you have to be able to have those conversations. I have to be able to get emotionally deep with you in conversation in order to be engaged, in order to like want to talk to you. So if I don't get that off the gate, chances are I'm not really going to continue to engage, and I wouldn't then have that vulnerability. If they came to me with a question 100% like that had that vulnerability and that depth to it, I will 100% of the time answer something. Even if you've shown before that you aren't an emotionally mature person, whatever, if you are able to come to that point in your own brain where you do exhibit that emotional maturity in a way that is unsuspecting but is mature, I'm 100% going to engage then. So that is how I would go about that one. And I greatly thank you for that, because that actually was a lot more in depth than I really thought. So thank you guys. And 1000%, I'm just going to take what Heather said. It's very important that we use the right labels for our emotions. Too much use of negative wording can sometimes worsen your emotional state, and that is 1000% true. Like I said with the anxiety, if you are feeling anxiety about something and you label it as you are excited to do something, you will have a higher perceived positive experience of that thing after than if you label it as scared. so also, one of the things that Brene Brown mentions in her book, Atlas of the Heart, is, drumroll. Oh crap. And I lost it. Brene Brown, Atlas of the Heart, emotions, labeling them. Oh no, it was right there. I had to go. Too much use of a negative wording, scared, excited, perceived positive outcome. Dude, I was just about to just with a little bit of information, and instead that information just out of my brain. So cool. Hopefully somewhere I'll be able to just toss it up and it'll come back. I'm going to think on it for 10. I'm just going to sit over here and spin. Those of you just listening to this, just know that I'm spinning around trying to think. Does labeling give them power? Yes. Scared, excited, perceived. Dude, and one of my friends has the book because I could easily go into it and find the chapter because I would know exactly where this part is. Dang nabbit, man. See, this is why I don't look at chat. This is, well, okay, I did, but then it got me to a point where I was able to forget. Anyway, I think, crap. I'm so mad. Where is it? I want to say it's in anxiety. It would be in anxiety. Because it would talk about the feeling. Yeah, the feeling is the same. You have a higher perceived enjoyment when you label it as excitement versus when you label it as scared. Oh, and what you don't want to do is one of the other main things that you are able to use to distinguish between the excitement anxiety versus the scared anxiety is, do I actually want to do this thing? And it might sound like a simple question, but for example, when it comes to going on a roller coaster, right? One person could have that feeling of anxiety and there is that bit of fright because it's fast, tall, whatever, but there is also the excitement of that anxiety, which leads them to get to the point that they actually want to do it. Where there's another person who has anxiety, but it is 100% scared. And they don't want to do it. And that is a situation where you really, really, really need to pay attention to your anxiety, because you need to understand when you are, you might have more scared in you than you expect, but it's still something that you're really excited for and you want to do and you want to accomplish, because so much of us let fear get in the way of what we want to do. And a lot of that fear has anxiety attached to it, right? And so when we're able to determine whether that fear is the fear of potential failure, the fear of whatever, versus an actual fear of like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm not scared. I'm just scared to do this because this isn't me. This isn't fun. That is then when you need to not push yourself and not do that thing, right? If you want the outcome more, it's really just, do you want that outcome? Do you want to do that thing? And of course, everything that you want to do, the more vulnerability that's attached to it, the more anxiety you're going to have, the more vulnerability, the more fear. I guess we can equate those two in this. You still have to realize whether you want that thing or not. So that's just what I wanted to say with that. And I hope I made a point, and I hope that made sense to you guys, because it 100% made sense to me. But yeah, I greatly, greatly appreciate that, Heather. So thank you. Took me a second, but we freaking got there. So we got a lovely question for our buddy Ethan already. I'm just going to mentally prepare myself to possibly say I do not know to this answer. All right. How would you approach a new job opportunity? More info. The offer is significantly more money, 160% to be exact. I've been with the current company for almost 6 years, like the people and most of the time the job, but it's hit or miss on that. Recently got the expertise to increase my value, but the current job being the first to know, even before I haven't taken the time to discuss anything about pay or my future with the company. So I mean, if it's 160% over, I mean, the question that needs to be asked is, if you were given the same amount of money at your current job that would match the new one, would you still want to switch jobs? That's question number one. Because if you would want to switch jobs still, then there's no point in even going to your boss and asking for a pay raise. But if the same pay would mean that you wouldn't want to switch jobs, then you 100% should try and fight for that raise in pay, especially with your increased expertise. Second question would be, what do you want to do? Like, what are there going to be new responsibilities? Are there going to be longer hours? Like, what? Yeah, I guess you really, like, it really just determines. Actually, you can honestly just answer the first question, and that's really where it stops. I thought I had a part two, but if money were equal, where would you go? And then, okay, fight for the same amount of money at your current place. Then if that doesn't go, then you ask, okay, is that increase in money the extra 60% in cash, or wait, 160% more? So not 100% more. So you're almost triple your pay? Whatever, I'll let you answer the question. If the pay isn't going to change, or you're not able to get, let's say you're able to get 130 at your current place as opposed to 160, then that's going to be on you to answer the question of, okay, is that extra 30% worth whatever it would be that you have to do, whether it's a relocation, whether it's more responsibilities? That then is going to be on you to answer that inequality question of, what is the opportunity cost going to be to stay? What is the opportunity cost going to be to go? And boomtown. So if it's 100%, yeah. So you just gotta weigh the pros and cons for yourself. Ask yourself, if I were to get the same amount of money here, would I want to go? If you do want to go, then there's no point in even asking for a raise. If you do want to stay, then you might as well ask yourself for a raise. If they're not able to match it, figure out whether then you get to that really granular pros and cons about what your responsibilities are, what you're going to miss out on family life, what you're going to be able to do more in family life, what have you. And from there, you'll be able to decide whether it's even worth pursuing or not. You got this, dude. That one, I'm just going to say, we nailed that one. We absolutely nailed that one. So this next lovely question is from an anonymous person. Hold on. Okay, this is just going to be an anonymous comment. We'll see what we do with this. I have lost all interest in life. No, I'm not sad or depressed, just not interested in anything anymore. I live my life for someone else now. I see that as fine so long as I have something to live for. But is that okay? I think that is a question that you should be asking yourself, man. Because truly no one can decide for you what is going to make you happy. Everyone can be able to point you in a general direction. Everyone will be able to put in their 2 cents. But at the end of the day, you are who goes to sleep in your skin. You are who has to be okay with the decisions that are made in regards to your life. So if living your life for someone else makes you happy and makes you feel fulfilled, which I feel is different. There's happy and then there's fulfilled. Happy is is temporary. Fulfilled is, I feel, a longer state of being, a more complete level of joy, peace, if you will. So if if you're something to live for is that, and that sustains you and that makes you fulfilled and that brings you peace, then dude, hell yeah, love that for you. But if that's not the case, if you are feeling a little bit lacking, less than, something's missing, best advice I could give is to just truly, I mean, meditation, and just start really listening to yourself. So much, like, try to, I'm like trying to think of how I can't, not saying it, how I started to realize what was me. I think we all know what is going to bring us happiness. I think we all know what we love, but there comes a point, and it might not be for everything. It could be for everything. It might not even be for anything, where you suppress that love or excitement or whatever positive feeling that is about something because someone judged you for it, or you saw something where it was belittled and it made you feel that whatever you wanted to do wasn't cool. For me, it was painting my nails. Like, and this was something that it wasn't as though I had done it before and was shamed for it. It was just, men don't wear nail polish. Until I went to jujitsu when I was 22 and my professor had black nail polish on his toenails. I was like, oh, dudes can do that? That's cool. And then obviously I started working at the gay bars when I graduated from college. And then I knew anyone could wear nail polish. Any single person could wear nail polish. That, honestly, that's when I just gave up on, like, as long as you are happy. And this is where I feel like I truly got the inspiration from it, was being within the LGBTQIA plus community, was just like, be yourself and anyone who doesn't accept you for you. And that is such a hard place to get to, especially because I was privileged enough to not be shamed for any part of myself. Directly, at least. It was just certain aspects of femininity or whatever that I felt about myself that people would talk about in the grand atmosphere of the world. Just like sensitivity, or even still certain men painting your nails, mostly anything that you would deem feminine. Because why I have these two masks, why one is a dude, one is a lady, both masculine, feminine. So then realizing that, like, oh my God, just be your fucking, like, being yourself is, I then got to a point where I realized that I would rather be myself around one person than try and fit in around a group of 6 or 7 or 8 or an entire group, because that's not fun for me. I like being myself. I like my random jokes. I like the stupid puns I make. I like the fact that I love card magic and video games and fitness and jujitsu and rom-coms and, like, the myriad of things that exist in humanity. And I truly believe that once you put yourself first and you put your love of things and your hobbies, your enjoyment of those over the judgment of others, you will then attract those people who also genuinely like those things, who like to do those activities, who like to be that person and around those type of people. And then all of a sudden you're not alone anymore. So wow. That went to a place I did not anticipate. Go us. So yeah. The basic answer is find out what you love. If being of service is what you love, is if that's what makes you feel peaceful, do it. Keep doing it. But if there's something within you that is longing for something else, explore that. Figure out what that is. And seek it out and see what happens, you know? So wish you all the best, man. You got this. And we have an influx of questions. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. Thank you for the likes, shares, everything. Absolute champions. Let's move on to this next one. We have a this is going to be interesting because I definitely do not think I would be qualified for this. So I'm already putting that out there. This person has chosen to remain anonymous. How do you approach my mental health without medication? Weed. I have ADHD, but I've been told by my PCP that it affects my health state, so doc provided me medication. I was taking one medication that helped significantly, but your insurance didn't cover it, so I finally tried to switch rather than pay the money for it. Switched to a different drug, which helps, but isn't great, for only $200 a month. Money is always a problem. Weed is illegal where I live. Your partner has noticed that you don't take it as regularly as it doesn't help as much. You don't feel like you need it. Your emotions are kind of all over the place anyways, but depression is really peaking out, especially when there are some big decisions in life coming up. Oh dear goodness. So I am going to answer this question by basically addressing the first part that you said, which was how do I approach my health, mental health without medication? So first of all, can we get some puppy loves in the chat? Because this is not something easy to go through in any way, shape, or form. My therapist has told me multiple times that I have ADHD. Also, anyone that has ADHD in the chat probably is also like, hey, John, no shit. So weed, number one, just going to throw that out there, which you said is illegal. Second is one of the things that my therapist tells me, and one of the things that has actually proven the most true, is it really goes back to doing the things that you love, is staying busy, is not even staying busy, but having things that you love doing. So for example, I wake up, take Nugget for a walk, then I try and make a video, then I go to jujitsu or the gym, then I come back and have a conversation with a friend, then I take Nugget out to the dog park, then I start stream, then I'm editing, then I'm going over to volleyball, then I'm coming back and I have like an hour to watch TV. Like that, we need dopamine. We, as people who have ADHD. So, well, I feel like everyone, but like we are always, so by continuously accomplishing things, by keeping yourself busy, by doing the things that you like, you are able to help yourself make it through. I would also, I mean, having a partner throughout this is so helpful. Can be so helpful. And one of the things that I don't know where you guys are at in your relationship. I don't know any of that. So I will only say what I have experienced, which is I tell my partner as much as I possibly can about everything that I'm going through, especially if they don't know. I mean, yeah, open and honest communication, especially when you are neurodivergent and you have ADHD or you have whatever. A lot of the times it's difficult for a partner to really understand what is going on, and understanding can be very, very beneficial to them when it comes to helping you help you, right? So having the conversation about what you're experiencing and what you think might help you the most with your partner, I also feel will help you guys the best. For example, when I'm big sad, when I'm having extreme depression, I don't want to be treated like I have extreme depression. I want you to keep making fun of me. I want you to keep making jokes. I want you to try, which I know can be difficult, which is why it's so important to talk to your partner about what helps you. So important for you to be the same person that you are, because then otherwise I'm like, fuck, I'm bringing everyone down. You might as well just leave. I'm bringing the party down. Like, this isn't fun. So by communicating with her, by saying, hey, when I get like this, the best thing that you can do is let me be, is just let me be sad. Please try your hardest to just be you, make fun of me. I'm making weird like whatever it is. I just don't want to be reminded that I'm feeling down right now. And so by having that conversation with her, you were able to make it through. She helped me so much, and it was incredible. So when you don't have that conversation, when that partner has to guess of how to behave around you, or they just go to their natural caretaking tendencies, that can make you feel worse in a way, which can then make them feel weird. Then you guys have a fight when it's insane. So that's what I got there. And like someone just said in chat, and like my therapist constantly tells me, I'm still trying to figure out mostly how it is, but I do feel, she's like, it's a superpower. It's something where we can have amazing level of focus on different things that we care about and be able to just, I don't know. I'm finding it easier to just be. I don't know what that means. If that means like anything for you, but just realizing how I am. And again, the awareness of how I am has made it night and day as well. Because I'm like, oh shit, this is why. I'm like, oh, this is why I like to plan things, because I like to know things are for certain. I like expectations. So I don't want to wait. If we're going to hang out, I don't want to wait to find out. If it's Monday, I don't want to wait until Saturday to find out. I would like for us to talk about it now, that we're going to hang out Saturday, and then we're going to hang out Saturday. Awesome. Thank you so much. Like, I don't have to worry about why I am the way that I am anymore, because just everything is starting to make sense, and it is amazing. So the more you continue to just learn about yourself, the more you continue to, just dive deeper into who you are and what you like, and explore that more on a constant basis. Sprinkle in the things you love throughout your day. You're going to be off to a good start, man. You got this, and we're sending you love. Holy hell, man. The questions are still coming in. Let's go. All right. So we have Taylor D, who asks, I'm a new stay-at-home mom to 4 kids. My boyfriend works almost all the time, and I don't have family that lives by me. I'm struggling with finding time for myself. Any advice? So as a single dad of a dog and a cat, I feel almost overqualified to answer this question. I feel completely unqualified to answer this question. I don't know how old your kids are. That's a very big question, a very good question. One of the things that I feel like I remember reading from Glennon Doyle when she was a stay-at-home mom and was feeling very overwhelmed is she would find ways, and it sounds so stupid, but to just be in a closet for 10 minutes. Like, trust your kids are going to be safe. That's why you obviously know how to keep your kids safe. It's trusting that for 10 minutes, these kids are going to be safe. And it's going in a closet, and it's laying down. It's literally doing something you love for 10 minutes. Because one of the things, and I want to say it was a Brene Brown podcast, one of the ways that we actually best recharge ourselves is by doing the things we love, not necessarily by doing nothing. So sitting there and just like zoning out on the couch might not, for 10 minutes, might not be as beneficial as if you love reading, going into that closet and reading for 10 minutes. And again, trusting your kids are safe, they're fine. Finding little times throughout the day to be able to do that, because of course, asking, or even 5 minutes, asking for 15, 20, dear God, 30 is most likely extremely unrealistic. So what I would say is, yeah, try and take those 10 minutes and put yourself in a closet. Even if they're banging at the door, know that they are safe outside there. They will be fine. And take that time to yourself. I'm hoping that's right. I think that's okay. I wish you the best of luck. Also, best of luck. Like, that's all I got. You got this. Let us know if this works, because I would really, really like to know. Oh dear God. Your guys' questions today are awesome. Gabriel asks, what's one of the hardest things I experienced trying to love and appreciate myself for who I am, and how would I explain it to someone who could definitely use it? Holy shiz. Gabriel, thank you for your question, brother. This is going to be interesting. I would truly say my sensitivity is one of the hardest things that I've grown to love about, that I've had to appreciate and love for myself. Because, yeah, I had never, I mean, it's so tough. And I feel like those of you that have and are going through it, there's not just one thing. Because one thing always leads to the other, which opens up another thing, which makes you realize that, oh shit, I had this here, which then makes you not realize that you didn't do as much work on yourself over here as you thought you did, which then makes you realize, oh shit, I haven't done any work on myself in the grand scheme. Like, so I would truly say just being this, literally just being myself has been the hardest thing. Fuck, dude. I have always thought of myself as a lot. I've always thought of myself as too much, as before I took ownership of the word weird, it was definitely more of a negative connotation than I put zero negative connotation on weird now. I fucking own it. I love it. I would rather be in the ground than be someone else, than be normal, than not be weird. So just getting the courage to put all the pieces together, I think, can be the hardest part. Because we all know these varying things about ourselves that I think if we accepted, we would be happier. But we don't do it all the time. We do it in certain situations, around certain people, when we're feeling a certain way, as opposed to just putting it all together and being who we are all the time. And that comes from a privileged, attractive, tall, white dude who has really not gotten any flack in person for being who he is. All of it has been brought on by my own self, by my own insecurities. So know that I'm saying be yourself and all the time from someone who hasn't dealt with the repercussions of being themselves in public. Which is why, again, our LGBTQIA, our like people of color, anyone who has just had to, who hasn't been able to exist as themselves, this is 50 billion times harder for them. So that's why that's with a grain of salt. That's with the utmost understanding and perspective of how difficult that can actually be. But again, just know that even within your own communities, even within our little sub communities of people, being yourself will only attract those that are themselves as well. It's really, really hard to be inauthentic around people that are constantly authentic. And you also start to sniff it out. You start to realize when you are constantly surrounded by real human beings that are themselves, you become so aware of when someone is bullshitting, of when someone is not even close to being what they are. They have such a big armor up, and it's just something that you know to get away from, man. So try to embrace yourself. Fall in love with what you love about yourself, and know that you will only, those that are trying to take that away from you are jealous. And I think that's also a big part. It doesn't necessarily take away the hurt that they do to you, especially if it's physical. But knowing that you are being mean to me because you either experienced such mistreatment that you think this is acceptable, or there's something about me that you see within yourself that you are denying, and so you're taking that denial out on me. When you start to realize that people not accepting you or liking you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them, it just becomes easier. I really can't explain it any other than that, but that's just how it feels. For me, at least. I know that if I'm getting a "you suck" or "you're a trash gamer" or "your stream sucks," it has nothing to do with me, man. That has everything to do with how you feel about yourself and what's going on in your life. And you're deciding to bring your storm clouds over my paradise. And guess what? That's okay, because the crops need a little rain every now and then, right? So if that's what you got to do, honestly, I've I've said worse about myself to myself. There's nothing you're going to come up with that I haven't already thought of already. Thank you so much for your efforts. I'm sorry you're sad. So I'm sorry you're sad has become one of the most amazing things to say, just either out loud or to yourself, because it's so obvious. It's so obvious. Okay, so this is a question that you have asked anonymously. I am not going to read it out loud because I do not know at all what should be done in this, especially with this type of yeah. Please call 911 about this. Especially with a stalker type situation, that way you know whose question I'm talking about. Please call 911. I do not feel qualified to answer. Thank you so much, and I really, really hope that you end up getting the answers and help. Please call 911 about that. All right. Here we go. Oh, I love this. Oh my goodness. Done this before, man. I've done this before. So we have a lovely question. After time of messaging and spending time with someone, they have decided to stay with their current boyfriend. We still message daily and speak like something would happen. Do I carry on and at least wait for this person and torture myself, or do I continue on as if nothing has happened? So you're going to meet in the middle. You're going to acknowledge that you had feelings, and you're going to realize that that person decided not to choose you. And that's okay, because again, it has nothing to do with you. They saw things in that other person that matched more in terms of what they thought of was compatibility than what they had with you. And that's totally fine. Because guess what? Relationships are going to either go two ways. You're either going to date them, marry them, be together forever, or they're not going to last. This one's more likely, by the way. So know that whenever you enter into a relationship with someone, whenever you start talking to someone, that there's a potential that you could stop talking at some point. That's number one. That has helped me so much in so many varying things, is realizing that, like, no, it's not this person. There's no such thing as the one. There, you could end up finding the person that you are supposed to be with forever, but no one relationship is going to make or break your life. And just because it ends, that's okay. That's just one of the natural paths that a relationship took, you know? So yeah, I wouldn't torture yourself. That's one thing that I wouldn't do. I've done it before. I've been the other guy before. And one of the things that I realized is that you sitting around and waiting is doing nothing. They made their decision in not picking you. In picking that person, they decided that they would rather be with this person. And so you also have to answer the question for yourself, do I want to be with someone who wouldn't want to be with me? That's also a very, very beautiful question to ask yourself. Because again, yeah, it's not about you. It's not about not choosing you and who you are as a partner. But again, they didn't pick you. Do I want to pick someone that wouldn't want to pick me? Probably not. I'd rather go with someone who, if given the choice, would be like, dude, I want that. I want him. So I would recommend just moving on, man. And if you want to maintain a friendship, and you know, this goes then to the layer of knowing yourself. If you think that by continued communication, you're going to continue to emotionally involve yourself, and even though you're saying, oh, we're just friends, you're still holding out, stop it. Don't do it. You can communicate with her if that's something that you feel comfortable with, whatever you want to do in terms of that. But otherwise, if you can maintain a casual friendship and still be doing your own thing and quote unquote move on, then do that. Here's my belief. I don't like to let cool people go. If I date you and you're a cool person and we had like a good friendship, I'm still going to check in on you. We're still going to like each other's stories and comment back and forth and all that good stuff. If that's the type of relationship you have with this person, then don't let it go. But obviously, know how much you are able to involve yourself without maintaining feelings. Boomtown. You got this. Dude, so many freaking questions today. Thank you so much. Next one, we're keeping to ourselves. So this lovely person would like to maintain anonymity. My mental health has taken a decline because of external pressures. My partner has recently been adding some comments that definitely are intended to be insults, but they feel like they are. I'm assuming aren't intended to be insults, but they feel like they are. Comments like this. Comments like, this is why I can't shop with you when you are like this. What's my thoughts on how to deal with partners' comments, knowing that I'm dealing with a lot of pressure? Talking to them. You will always, 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 until the day I die. And then even still, place a TV on my tombstone. No, I want to be cremated. Place a projector screen on the back of a building and play this video over and over and over again. I will always communicate my feelings to my partner as open and honestly as I possibly can. I will always communicate my feelings to my partner as open and honestly as I possibly can. Now, if I'm also dealing with a lot of pressure, that is either something that I need to explain to my partner in greater detail, or if she doesn't know or they don't know, then explain it to them in greater detail. And then you need to just be honest. Hey, when you say it makes me feel, when you say it makes me feel, and then having a dialogue about that, because I can guarantee you, if you're in a loving relationship with someone that you know isn't trying to manipulate you or insult you, chances are they are not trying to hurt your feelings in the way that they are. They are not trying to make you feel that the way that they are inadvertently making you feel. And so unless you communicate that to them directly, they are not going to know what's happening. So that would be, hey babe, when we went shopping, and also one of the greatest gifts you can do is to do it as soon as you possibly can. Obviously, if you're in the middle of a shopping trip and you don't want to have this conversation in the store, don't do it then, but do it when you get to the car, because the last thing you want to do is take 2 days and be like, hey, this thing a couple days ago. And they're like, wait, what? I thought everything was fine. So make sure that you are also able to get this information to them as quickly as possible, so they also are aware of what just happened as of the recent present as possible, so that you guys can have a greater conversation about that. So communicate, bring it up to them. When you say it makes me feel, how does it make you feel when I say this? What's been going on with you? And just having that dialogue. And guess what? If it comes to the point, here's the thing. You also have to prepare yourself, because with open and honest communication, there's also one thing that I after my last relationship decided that I will make my partners and me promise to. I promise that I will always, always, always be as honest with you as I possibly can. Always. But I cannot promise that I will not hurt you. I cannot promise that the truth that I have to tell you will not hurt your feelings, because she might not be prepared for that. And getting this back to her might hurt her feelings, right? Or whatever it might be. So prepare that some of the honesty that she might have, that's where I was going with this. For example, it got to a point with my ex when we would always go out to bars where I would self-isolate. I wouldn't be engaging with anyone, and then I would just be grumpy and then want to go home. And it got to a point where she had to be like, babe, stop coming to the bars, please. Like, you only want to be there for an hour, you're grumpy, and then you make it not fun to be around you. Was that something that hurt to hear? Yeah. Was it something that helped our relationship and was for the better because she was just communicating open and honestly? Yeah. Because I was going just to be around her, but I didn't enjoy the atmosphere in which we were being around each other, so I would be grumpy and ruin the time. So if that's one of those things, that might also be a situation that you're in, where you guys do whatever this stressful thing is separately now. And if that's how that has to be avoided, if that's how this situation has to be mediated, that's okay. So I just want you to prepare yourself to potentially have hurt feelings over what might be the reason that she's saying or doing these things. But also know that you have the right to be hurt by these things. I love you, man. And I hope this ends up being okay. No question. Just wanted to say you're an unbelievable inspiration to so many people. I've grown so much mentally since watching you and following up on some recommendations that I've made. I just wanted to thank you for being the purest, most open and amazing human being, streamer, person ever. Ethan, thank you, dude. I appreciate you for that. I love this. I love this so much. So we got a lovely little gym question from Lokes here, who said, I got back into the gym a couple months ago after over a decade of no exercise. That I wasn't emphasizing the amount of time. I was just excited about reading this. Anyway, my main goal is to lose weight. Me, so fat. So far, I've stuck to treadmill and bike only, usually coming out to 45 to an hour. Simply put, I'm getting bored of shit. I know lifting weights can help a lot with weight loss, and it'd be nice to gain some much needed muscle. I'm just worried about overdoing it and hurting myself. I did once years ago and it sucked big time. Any specific tips other than don't overdo it? Yeah. Take your fucking time. Go to the gym and do literally the lightest weight you feel comfortable doing. Start knowing that you're going to feel like a novice. Start knowing that you're going to feel weak. Start knowing that you're going to not feel great about yourself, because that's what starting does to someone. Starting makes you realize where you're at. And if where you're at isn't where you want to be, you might be a little bummed about that. But guess what? That's okay, because that means we can go upwards. So what I would recommend is you can either look up beginner workouts. You can talk to our good friend, Mr. Gritley. Or you can, if there's certain exercises that in the gym that you know you like, go and just do those. Do 3 sets of 12 of whatever exercises you like at the lightest weight that you feel comfortable doing, and call it a day, because you got to start with form, right? Form always needs to be the base of that lift. The second that form slips, lower the weight, stop that rep. Don't do it. Stop. No. There's no, who are you going to impress with this, with your max? No one except yourself. Okay? So don't do it. It's stupid. Lift light, dude. That's it. Because there's certain days where I go to the gym and I'm like, I don't want to be here. This sucks. I'm going to do, and I honestly do this to workout. I literally go around. I do lightweight. I do my favorite exercises. I do 3 sets of 15 and I go the F home. I still get the feeling of working out. I still get the feeling of doing something because I pushed past that block that said I didn't want to do it. And then I feel good. So, yeah, exactly. You want to lift with your back, not with your legs. Mostly have like your neck down in this position for most of the lifts, and you're going to be great. But yeah, dude, you got this. Especially if you're bored, you're going to make so much less progress being bored, because the more you enjoy doing those things, again, the easier it's going to be to do those things that are harder. It's going to be easier to do those things when you feel less motivated if it's something you actually enjoy. So, Boomtown. I love you, buddy. Proud of you for even freaking starting and being where you're at right now. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. So we have this lovely anonymous comment, which goes, less question and more confession. Most people know I've taken some time away from the community because of work and being busy and whatnot. This is true, but only part of the story. I've always struggled with imposter syndrome, and as my workload recently increased, so did those feelings. They've bled into every aspect of my life, and I'm struggling mightily daily with the feeling like I'm not the only person. Sorry. They've bled into every aspect of my life, and I'm struggling mightily daily with feeling like I'm not the person people say or think I am, and that it's inevitable that I'll let them down, and it's been really, really hard, and it's easier to hide away, ignore, and push aside things or become unavailable than it is to address the work or the friends, because that sort of validates the feelings of inadequacies that I internalize. I guess if I had to ask a question, it would be, have I ever experienced feeling like an imposter? And how do I finally convince myself otherwise? Oh my God, dude, every second. I feel like, yeah, first of all, thank you so much for being honest, and for sharing those things with us, because I can guarantee you that there are 30,000 people, almost every single person in this chat, that has felt like this, that is feeling like this, that will feel like this. And one of the things that helps me is, and this first one can be a little, so first of all, I'll go internally. Am I doing what I love? Am I doing what I've done for a long time, that I have evidence for being good at, for having experience at? then I don't allow myself to feel like an imposter. Because I used to not feel like a good actor. I used to feel like I couldn't say the word actor because I haven't done whatever. I used to feel like I couldn't say entertainer or whatever because I hadn't done whatever. And then you think, A, why am I telling myself this? What is the proof that I am not X? And then B, you look at all the proof that shows that you are. And so that's like, even when it comes to just me saying entertainer, it's like, no, I have proof that I am enough. I have proof that with my friends, I have proof that they've told me I'm a good friend. I don't have proof that they said I'm not enough, or they've said anything negative to me. And if anything is actually said negative to me, dear God, then I address that. Because again, I would always, please tell me if I'm being a bad friend, if I'm doing something wrong, please let me know, because I don't want to do that. I don't think any of us want to be bad friends, partners, employees, whatever it might be, unless our boss is shit. Then of course, dude, silent quit your ass off. But I would really be hard pressed to find those aspects in your life that are actually solidifying this belief. Yeah. And then just, I think something else that then goes further than that, because of course we have to start off somewhere. So if, you're a streamer and you don't feel like you're good enough or you belong, you're having that imposter syndrome, and you're a smaller person who has a lower CCV, who people would say, oh, you're a shit streamer. Then that third question, I guess, or second question, I don't know how many we addressed, would be, do you love it? Because if you love doing it, then you are not an imposter doing it. And that's just fact. No one can tell you differently. No one can tell me differently. If I love playing volleyball and I go, or if I love, okay, so I have a bad habit of not doing things that I suck at. So I love sign language, and I love that I'm trying sign language. But if I'm signing and some assholes, nah, that's a bad example, whatever, no. And if some non-signers are like, dude, you don't even know sign language, like, what are you doing? No, I'm trying and I love doing it. So I'm not an imposter, because an imposter would be someone who doesn't belong here, someone who isn't qualified or doesn't fit the criteria to be here. And loving being here, to me, would be the number one criteria of fitting in somewhere, of belonging somewhere. So I think that that's really what it is A, finding that proof that you don't belong, and then reaffirming your belief that you do belong with the proof that you belong. And then also, if you don't have the proof yet, or if you're not as good as what you belong in, or in what you're loving, then just remember that your love of what you're doing makes you belong, right? If you, now that also, I mean, that can be then go down to the point of like, okay, might you not be successful? If you're like, if you really, really love something and you've been doing it for like 10, 12, 14 years, a long time, and you're not good at it, and you're like trying to make, like you're trying to do something, maybe that's one of those like self-acknowledgement, like maybe it's maybe not for you type things. But for the most part, I'm talking about like with a hobby, with whatever, if you love it, then you belong. If you're trying to make a career out of it, that's a different story. I feel like that answered the question. Dude, I love you. Know that you belong. Know that you are welcome, literally always, and we love having you around. You're a gosh darn champion, and you should know that, sir. Next question we have from Jesse R., who says, I'm living with the love of my life, yet we are not together due to certain stupid shit I have done and owned up to it. Not cheating, lying, more so about dumb shit but we have a 7-year-old daughter and have been together almost 12 years, yet we are not a couple and live together. She wants to see a change, and I'm trying, but how do I change? It's trust she wants, but I have tried. Any advice on this? Asking what trust looks like to her. And if she can't answer the question, know that you will never be able to answer it for her. She needs to tell you what she wants from you. This is one of those, especially if you messed up. Awesome. So happy you owned up to it. So happy that you guys are still together and working on raising that daughter. But you need to say, hey, I really want to grow. I really want to make this work. What is it you are looking for from me? What would this X, Y, and Z goal of yours look like if it were to come to fruition? So I can know what to do. Because if I don't know what to do, I can only do what I think is best. And if that's all it is, then okay, then maybe we don't. And then that's where if she doesn't have an answer, you need to figure out if that's something that you want to put your mental energy towards, or whether you just want to continue to work on a friendship more of type of relationship. But yeah, if it's something that she is waiting to get to, she needs to know what that is and tell you, especially if it's something that you need to do in order to get that. Like, does that make sense? So yeah, you guys got to both be vulnerable about it. You both got to talk about it. You both got to say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. This is what I feel. I feel like I've shown my trust. Where are you at? What do you see? What are you feeling? And then you guys can come to a place of agreement on that. But dude, I talk about it. I'm optimistic that the conversation will yield results. Oh, this is very interesting. Okay. So Lee B says, I've got PTSD and have had for some time due to the military. Yet other people say it's just my excuse for flying off the handle and my mood swings. I'm prescribed meds. How can I better explain myself to people? At the end of the day, if people don't understand, like I would have loved, if you listen to this and you want to come back and do a follow-up, Lee, feel free. How you explain it, if you're comfortable doing that. But there's just certain people who don't get it. There's just certain people who feel like depression is, oh, you're just choosing to be sad. There's certain people who feel like anxiety isn't real. There's certain people who still feel like being gay is a mental illness. So there's a lot of stupidity and ignorance when it comes to mental health. And unfortunately, those that are neurodivergent, those that have those underlying illnesses, have to deal with not only those illnesses, but the repercussions of people's ignorances about those illnesses. At the end of the day, the best thing you can do is have the most articulate response possible, short, succinct, so their tiny little brains can understand it. And then otherwise, like, just try your best to not associate with them. Again, it's so hard to exist in a world that doesn't necessarily understand you and doesn't, especially when you are putting the information out there to be understood. So, and I don't want to say that that means you should just leave everywhere that doesn't accept you. I just mean that there's certain people that just don't get it. There's certain people that are going to suck. There's certain people that are going to be accepting and are going to understand and are going to welcome you. And so I think the hardest but realist answer is, like, some people suck. And so if you explaining yourself to them doesn't help them understand, or they're not willing to understand after that, those just aren't people that deserve any of your time. Truth be told. Love you, Lee. All right, we have a final question. I love this. This is going to be a long ass episode. We might do a part 1 and part 2, man. From Courtney. who says, second question, if not, hold back until next week. Absolutely not. The topic has been brought up many times, the significance of open and honest communication, in particular, doing so in a timely manner and not holding on to important issues. As someone that on occasion takes a great deal of time to process feelings and emotions, sometimes a day or two, do I think it's fair to expect partners to be understanding of this when it occurs? This is something that I am open about, and I will express when these moments occur by saying that I need a chance to think how I'm feeling about a given situation. 100%. I think that as long as you're communicating it, again, it's great. I think that if you know that that is your MO and you just habitually surprise your partner, I don't think that would be cool. I think that you 100% would have to communicate and say, hey babe, something about this just bothered me. I'm not sure what it was. Would you mind giving me a second? I think it also, because as an anxious partner, I always want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm not making you feel any way, shape, or form. So I think a day or two would be tough for me, and you are in chat, so you can go with this back and forth. Would you be in a place to have a dialogue in the moment if you had that open situation? So X blah, 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 blah just happened. Hey babe, that just made me, or hey, whatever, that just made me feel uncomfortable. Can we talk about would you mind? Yeah, I think as long as you communicate about it, I would love to. I feel like holding on to it for a day or two could be a little bit difficult, but as long as you and your partner have had a communication about this, as long as you guys are understanding of each other, I don't see why that would go wrong. But if it's one of those, hey, something just happened and yeah, would you have a further example? Because I would love, I can't think of something that would take a day or two. I can think of something if it happened at night where it would be like, hey, would you mind letting me sleep on this? I need to figure out how I'm feeling about this and having the conversation in the morning. But I couldn't think about going a day without finding out about my partner. Because yeah, if there's the time, I couldn't do a day. But digest 1000%. I 100% do not want to have a conversation right away if we are not understanding of our feelings. That is the easiest way for a fight to break out, or for a misunderstanding to happen, or for something to go wrong, is when two people are just fighting from their feelings. Your feelings lead to the truth. You don't want to let your emotions take over. I'm not sure if they're different, but I should know the difference. But yeah, one of those things where a complete shutdown you think isn't okay, but acknowledgement of the necessity. Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. As long as there's a little bit of a communication about it, I totally think that's beautiful, dude. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, again, I feel like this podcast, this episode can just be summed up with open and honest communication is key to any relationship, romantic, platonic, whatever. Just talk about it. Again, honest, necessary, kind, and true, open and honest communication will change your life, will change your relationships, will change everything. I guarantee it. So y'all, thank you guys for probably the longest and one of my favorite episodes that we have done so far on Mental Health Mondays. And I thank you guys so much for your amazing questions, your vulnerability, and for just being here to listen. So that is going to do it for this lovely episode. We are going to be back next Monday, right back here around 11:30 a.m. Mountain Time for another amazing episode of Mental Health Mondays. If you guys got a question, you can go to the YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of those. We'll have the questionnaire linked in the comments. The YouTube has it as well. Ask your question and we will address it on stream. I love you guys. Thank you guys. The stream is still going, but the podcast is over. Appreciate you guys. Remember, you're only as amazing as you treat other people. So be kind to someone for no other reason than it's the awesome thing to do. I will catch you guys for another amazing episode next week. Enjoy the stream. I'll catch you later.